We have a quorum. Yes. Would you like to say a few words, Mary? No? Okay. I thought you were going to speak about how to vote. We have a quorum, and this meeting is called to order. Reverend Sarah, do you have some opening words?
Tall mic and a short mic. I'll go with the tall mic. All right. No, it's not.
All right, it's on now.
From the power of our memory and history, with high hopes for the days that lie ahead, we gather to craft the destiny we share with one another. We gather with faith in the practice of democracy. We gather with hearts and minds open to wisdom and every voice among us. In our gathering, may we dream and design a bold future. May we bring our best selves to this work, and may we dream these dreams and do this work with love.
This annual congregational meeting is called to approve the following two motions: to introduce nominees and to present annual reports. We'll start with our treasurer, Hal, with his annual report and the incoming budget proposal. We'll be doing a hand vote unless situations arise that we need to change that.
Hello. I just want to start off with a few general comments about the Treasury before we get into the budget. And with the improving state of our local economy, the Northwoods financial situation is sound and should be fine through the next fiscal year, which ends in June 2023. The budget for 22-23 has a slight surplus because some pledges came in after the budget was finalized. Many of the income items depend upon the attendance in the church, which is hard to forecast. The new budget assumes that we'll be having hybrid services throughout the year and probably a lot longer than that. At the end of April, we had received 94% of the budgeted amount in our pledge collection. I mean, the percentage that we should have collected according to the budget as opposed to what we did collect. I hope this figure will improve some when people do a little bit of catch-up in the last 2 months of the fiscal year. Many of our other fundraisers have been affected: cash plate collections, rentals, service auction, book sales, etc. Our rental income will be under budget because for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, we didn't have any renters. However, the recent months have been very encouraging. The service auction was a tremendous success. We took in over $33,000, and despite the fact that we only budgeted $24,000. The bottom line is that our cash flow should be roughly zero for the fiscal year. However, if the pledges aren't as good as I hope, we could be looking at a $5,000 negative cash flow. We did this without the $36,400 gift from the U.S. Treasury that we had in the previous fiscal year. We currently have $95,000 in our operating account, so we're in good shape for the next year. If we include all of our assets, mostly the building, we have a net worth over $1.3 million. Of course, the coronavirus could still have some surprises for us, but I assume that we'll be pretty much back to normal next year. I put normal in quotes there. We still can't know how this new hybrid worship will work out next fiscal year, but it should be a lot like what we're doing right now. We have the resources to handle some financial challenges, but hopefully we will have a more predictable fiscal year. And does anybody have any questions about that before I get on to the budget? Well, good. So now the budget, I see it's up on the screen, which means people in Zoom land are seeing it too. Everybody in the sanctuary got a hard copy of it too. And I just want to highlight a few things, since I'm obviously not going to go through every figure. At the very top of the left, we have our pledges for the next fiscal year, which is $209,000. That's about $11,000 more than we had last year. Your treasurer thanks you. And our service auction income we're projecting to be at $30,000. Like I say, it was $33,000 this year. Other important things are at the bottom of that left-hand column. You see our total income, $265, total expense, $262, so we have a slight surplus, and I hope we'll keep it. All right, so what did we do with all that money that we're collecting? Basically, there's a couple of things that we increased. The first thing is the top of the middle column, which is our congregational administrator's salary. We gave Jamie a 15% raise. Gosh, I guess I don't have to apologize for that. But, you know, that does seem like a pretty big raise, but she hasn't had one in years. And as we know, there's been a fair amount of inflation this year. The other thing that it increased is the top of the right-hand column, which is the coordinator of religious education. And we actually didn't give her a raise. We gave her more hours, though, that she'll get paid for. So, and that's about the highlights of it. Do we have any questions? All right. You want to call? Yes.
You asked people to increase the percentage so we can pay our director, our administrator, Mueller.
Right.
What percentage of the congregation applied with that request?
I can answer that. There'll be a slide in my report later, but the question was how many people increased their pledges as part of our ask to increase the salary and hours for our staff. And this year, we had a cost of living adjustment of 6.5%, which was 3 times higher than any cost of living adjustment we have done so far. 66% of the members met that cost of living adjustment, and 26% increased 10% or more. So for a total of 92% of the congregation either met the 6.5% COLA or exceeded it.
I would add to that Jerry Hensel, where are you, Jerry? Okay. He challenged people who can afford it to pony up an extra $1,000, and 2 people have already done it.
Do I have a motion to approve the annual operating budget?
So moved. Second.
Second. All right. All those in...
Who seconded it?
Several people.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take a hand vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? And Brenda's counting on Zoom. Absolutely, Brenda.
Checking Zoom.
Yep. Yes, thank you so much, Brenda, for doing that.
Aye, and I proceed to the second. Any opposed? Aye. No one opposed. One abstained, because they are too close.
All right, we have a budget.
Thank you, Al. All right. I'm going to move on to introducing our leadership positions. I'll start with Beth Shively, who is nominated by the Leadership Development Committee as President-elect to the Board of Trustees. Beth, would you like to stand up? Beth grew up in the Midwest and moved to the Woodlands area and began attending Northwoods in 2014. She's taught explorers in the RE program since 2018. Beth has 2 children, Jack, who is 10, and Madeline, who is 6. Beth teaches middle school English and college courses in world religions, religion and politics, and integrated studies. She wrote a book about 21st century American Christian courtship. All right. Yes. Do I have any floor nominations? All right. Do we have a motion to approve Beth as the Board of Trustees President-elect? You want me to do all of them together? Okay. All 4 or 3 and then 1? 3 and then 1. Okay. All right. Our second nominee is Hal Meyer, who has agreed to serve as a second term as treasurer. I do not have an introduction for Hal, but I think he introduced himself. He's been a fantastic treasurer. Our third nominee is Sarah Moser, who is nominated as the Shared Ministry Council. Sarah, would you like to stand? Sarah is the mother to 7 grown children and 4 adorable grandchildren. 2 of her children are transgender. She used to be a conservative Christian, and all of her children were influential in her spiritual journey to where she is now. Sarah is a meditator and a student of, oh, Sarah, I'm going to say this wrong. Ayurveda and yoga, with a passion for wellness and living life joyfully and abundantly. Sarah enjoys new experiences and environments, and as she has gotten older, she actively pursues ways to stretch herself and get out of her comfort zone. However, she will never jump out of a perfectly good airplane. She does a lot of crocheting in her spare time. Our third nominee is Carl Mueller. Carl, I'm sorry, I'm opening your intro. Carl and his wife have been members of Northwoods since 2019, and he's been involved with youth in RE, and lately with some of our music groups, including the annual men's chorus. Carl's originally from Los Alamos, New Mexico, but attended college and graduate school in Texas. He moved to Houston with his wife Jen in 2007, and to Spring, Texas in 2018, where he lives with Jen, her sister Jess, and his nieces Kayla and Braylon. He's worked as an environmental manager for 25 years. All right. We need a motion to approve our new board positions. That's Beth and Hal and Sarah. And then we'll do a second motion to approve Carl, who won't be on the board. Do we have a motion? Any second? Okay.
Who seconded?
All right, we'll take a vote by hand. All those in favor? And we'll give Brenda a minute on Zoom. Okay, all opposed? All right, great.
Any abstain? One abstain?
All right, do I have a motion to elect Carl Mueller as the Healthy Congregation Committee? A second? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. Then we shall move on to our reports. All right. At our annual congregational meeting 2 years ago, I accepted the nomination of President-elect on a Zoom call in my bedroom, a mere 2 months after the shutdown. At a time of much uncertainty, I was certain of my commitment to Northwoods. At our annual congregational meeting a year later, in 2021, still on Zoom from my bedroom, I presented the results of a survey taken halfway through Reverend Sarah's 5 years as our developmental minister. Today, I'm thrilled to be presiding in person under our circle window in our sanctuary at our 2022 annual congregational meeting, and I'm thrilled to have so many of you joining us both in the sanctuary and via Zoom. When I stepped into the role of president last summer, we were making plans for a return to the sanctuary, or more precisely, to offering a hybrid model of both in-person attendance and virtual attendance for our services, beginning with in-gathering water communion Sunday in August. Vaccines were available for ages 12 and up, case counts were down, I was feeling pretty hopeful. While Delta ultimately pushed back that plan, our tech team set up to live stream from our sanctuary, researching options, renting a lift, installing cameras, and preparing to run the system every Sunday. I'd especially like to thank Juanetta, Rusty, and Brenda, and I'm sure I'm missing folks. So many folks who have donated their time. Who donated their time last summer to the extensive setup and throughout this year to make our hybrid services happen. We transitioned from worship pieced together with recorded elements and live streamed from homes to worship being live streamed directly from the sanctuary. And finally, in the fall, the board was very happy to begin offering hybrid services with both in-person and virtual attendance. We spent board meetings discussing social distancing, room dimensions and room capacity, vaccine availability, local case trends, as well as Northwoods surveys results and unique needs of our community. While the members of the board come from different perspectives with their own personal risk-benefit analysis, I've consistently been impressed with the way we all came together during meetings, and also via email and text when we found ourselves needing to pivot between board meetings, changing plans with rising case counts, such as when Omicron threw off our plans again and we temporarily switched back to virtual-only services. I'd especially like to thank Jerry, who began the role of president-elect in July 2019. These last 3 years have certainly been nothing like he anticipated at that time. Jerry, thank you for your service to Northwoods through these tumultuous COVID years. I'd also like to thank Paul, who is completing his term as Ministry Council trustee. It's been an honor to work with both of you. We gathered in person and online for a successful service auction in the fall. In November, we hosted our first hybrid congregational meeting to approve the ministerial search call committee. It was a bit of a trial run for today. We gathered in the spring for Arts in Action. We met on Zoom and in person, worshiping, drumming, fundraising, discussing, demonstrating, making music, planning, learning, and supporting each other in community. Here we stand entering the summer of 2022. We've removed sanctuary limits, which I hope we never have need to reinstate. It's been a joy to see an increasingly full sanctuary this spring. I've even attended a few small group meetings without masks. Our music groups, including folk choir, are rehearsing together and performing live in our sanctuary. We continue to offer hybrid services so we can attend not only in the sanctuary, but also from our homes, on vacations and other travel, and from parking lots at soccer fields and dance studios. As our treasurer Hal reported, we have a budget surplus. Even after meeting the goals. Even after meeting the goals, to both give Jamie, our church administrator, a well-deserved raise, and to raise the hours of our fantastic RE director, Gay Lynn, who you'll hear from soon. Reverend Sarah, who will be giving her report next, is nearing the end of her 4th year as our developmental minister, and we have an active ministerial search call committee that you'll hear from during this meeting as well. Northwoods is thriving. So many folks have come together, offering your time, talent, and treasure to make that happen. I look forward to being part of this community, facing joys and hardships together in the years to come.
All right, there we go. So we didn't have a traditional sermon earlier, so get comfortable. I want to start by sharing a quote from one of the best books I read this year. And I'll tell you the name of the book after the quote. It's from a church organizer, researcher, one of those gurus that makes their job researching and thinking about how churches work. Susan Beaumont. She writes, "Organizational life is full of liminal experiences, seasons where something has ended but a new thing has not yet begun. Seasons where watching and waiting can be difficult. Over-planning can be futile, and it simply isn't helpful to pretend that we understand what happens next. Liminal seasons are challenging, disorienting, and unsettling. We strive to move forward with purpose and certainty. Instead, we feel as though we are trudging through mud, moving away from something comfortable and known towards something that can't yet be known. Liminal seasons are also exciting and innovative. The promise of a new beginning unleashes creative energy, potential, and passion. All truly great innovations are incubated in liminality. God's greatest work occurs in liminal space." This is from Susan Beaumont's book, How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going, which she wrote before the pandemic. Funny enough, she didn't know how much we didn't know where we were going, because we have been in some seriously liminal space, ultimate liminality. Everything was uncertain, everything was up in the air, everything was unknown. So all significant transitional experiences follow a 3-part process. Something ends, there is this weird, disorienting in-between season, and then finally, after much toil and turmoil, something new emerges. Something ends and we're separated from that identity, that kind of status or familiarity that defined us. The in-between periods lack structure. They open new possibilities, but they also open us up to old insecurities and fears. And we think of it as like a 1, 2, 3 step, right? Like something ends, and now we're kind of uncertain, and now there's something new. Ta-da, we made it. However, that's not always how things work. I remember at the beginning of this year thinking, all right, we're gonna get back in the sanctuary, and we're gonna be singing, and we're gonna start meeting together, and like it's gonna be a little awkward at first, but like this year is gonna look a lot more like years looked before the pandemic. Cool, let's go. And then Delta hit, and then Omicron hit later after Christmas. And so much of your leadership's year this year has been taken up with questions of how do we gather, when do we gather, what safety precautions do we take? And this was kind of the year of a lot of things not happening the way we thought they would. This was the year of having no idea what we're doing, which was fun and nervous making. And definitely, I had some really weird dreams this year about like things going wrong at church and like having to run all the tech myself, which I never had to do. So before we can fully step into the something new that is emerging here at Northwoods and in our lives, there is a reforming, a reshaping, in which we figure out that new identity, that new structures that are more appropriate to what's coming next, which meant that this was also the year of innovation and the year of the test run, always in beta. I would be remiss if I did not point out that although I was part of these processes of innovation and test runs, and I did have a few good ideas along the way, right? Much of this innovation was not done by me. It was done by you. Case in point, our fantastic tech team, as Sage mentioned, started small and has grown a bit as others have been trained. Every Sunday, we have 3 times the tech volunteer needs that we had before the pandemic. And yet every Sunday, they have delivered. But I don't want to be complacent. Let us not say, great, they keep delivering, we'll just let them keep delivering. This is a huge amount of dedication and takes up a lot of space in the lives of a few people. And it would not be fair to assume, although they probably will want to, that they are going to continue to have as much time to do this. So I will state explicitly, one of the needs that we have going forward is to spread that responsibility around more. So if you are a tech-inclined person, we need your help. If you're willing to be trained as a worship tech, please let me know and I will put you in touch with the people who can give you the training you need. Over the last 3 years, as we pivoted online, stayed there a year and a half, pivoted back to multi-platform worship, then put that on pause, and then pivoted again, the Northwoods staff and leadership have become pirouette masters. Because this was also the year of stepping up. Your board and I all felt strongly that after the amazing work that the Northwoods staff had put in over the pandemic, this was the right time to ask you to increase compensation in hours. And so this budget season, in this year of having no idea what we're doing, the year of let's try it out and see, we challenged you to do just that, to increase your pledges, to help give Jamie a long-deserved raise and increase Galen's hours, as we have said more than once in this service. We succeeded. Some of my colleagues were not really sure this was the right time to be asking for an increase in financial commitment with so much uncertainty in the economy and in our own lives. But I had faith, and you delivered. Few stewardship statistics. 104 pledge units. That's one more than we had last year, and we lost 10 pledge units this year, mostly through moving or people passing away, including 8 new pledgers. Our total pledged commitment financially, $213,540, which represents an increase of nearly $15,000 over the current year. So not only were your increases able to mitigate the losses from people who had moved away or passed on, but to increase our budget by nearly $15,000. As Hal mentioned, pledge fulfillment this year is pretty high, 94%, is definitely a respectable percentage in any congregation that I have served. And as I answered the questions earlier, 66% of you met a COLA adjustment of 6.5% to your pledges, which is how we do our rolling pledge campaign. And 25% increased over that COLA, many increasing 10% or more. In a time when economic uncertainty continues to be a reality for many of us, this kind of commitment is astonishing. And I know this because I've told my colleagues and they are astonished. But I don't mean to brag. I'd like to show you just a few more numbers, this time on a graph. Yes, your minister enjoys graphs. And also spreadsheets. They're kind of like craft projects with numbers. So this is a graph, and you may not be able to see it super well. If you want a copy, email me, I'll send it to you. This is a graph of monthly worship attendance averages since my first full month with you in September of 2018. The blue line represents monthly averages, and the dotted line represents the average for that period, right? We had a period of one service, and then we briefly went to 2 services, and then we went online, and now we are in our hybrid multi-platform world. And you can see, relatively consistent. Some of our highest months were in online life, which is also astonishing, and I know that because I've told my colleagues and they are astonished. But I want to show you the numbers on these averages, because I think that this is another important number. Our average attendance at one service was, let me get that up there, 93 people per service. No, you're good. Our average right now is 88, which is a little bit lower, and some of those numbers they're about 90% accurate, because we may have missed a few people as people have signed in and whatnot. But your membership team has been doing an amazing job of tracking who has been here and how many. For our average now to be within the margin of error of our average when we were at one service before the pandemic is an absolute triumph. And we can clap for ourselves about that. And as our numbers continue to grow, as people have a more increased comfort being here in the sanctuary, as well as continuing to attend on Zoom, I only see us going good places in terms of the growth of this community. Now, numerical growth, quantifiable growth, this is only one way of thinking about growth. I also wanted to share a little bit about what we have coming up in the next year. I want to share some of my ministry priorities with you. One, continued multi-platform worship excellence. We have every intention of continuing our multi-platform style of worship into the future. We have found not only for those who want to avoid the risk of exposure to COVID, but also for those who live far away and have a long drive in and may not be able to make it every Sunday. For those who have health concerns or mobility limitations that keep them from being able to drive to the church, walk into the church, and sit down in the church every week. For people who have kids who have incredibly busy schedules, like Sage said, sometimes you can watch worship in the parking lot on your phone while you're waiting for your kids to get out of dance practice or soccer practice or whatever the case may be. All of these things make a connection to this community easier and make this community more real in your lives. A community that is there for you wherever you happen to be. I don't see this changing. I think there's a lot of benefit to it, and I'm glad that the people who know how to do this sort of stuff have done it so well, because that's not me. Leadership development is another area that I want to kind of capitalize on our successes. We have an excellent slate of leadership, both those staying in leadership, those coming into leadership. One of the things I want to continue to do is work with the leadership development team on identifying people who have joined in the last few years who might be interested in cutting their leadership chops on small group leadership, on project leadership, as the case may be. Also to work on how we transition from one person in a role to the next person in the role. Because we lose institutional memory every time that happens if we are not very diligent about how we track the information that we get over the course of doing something for a year. I'm also working with a number of folks who are actively doing pastoral care, checking on people, keeping up with people's health conditions or losses or joys. And I hope to find a way to kind of formalize that process, because although it works very well in a lot of ways, it's also very organic, which is a plus, but it's also not well documented, which means that it has a risk of not continuing to be done as diligently if we are not very intentional about how we do it. Obviously, transition support is part of what I'll be doing this year as Northwoods transitions out of developmental ministry into settled ministry. Part of my role as your developmental minister is to help shepherd that process in terms of education and communication, although the search team has a lot more information to share on that. And lastly, I want to talk about the Northwoods Connections program. You may have noticed a few folks rocking the tie-dye today. This is y'all's tie-dye from your group, right? Yes. All right. So one of our awesome Connections groups had an in-person retreat, and they made tie-dye shirts and items, which they are wearing today, which I love. Our Connections groups are various ways of gathering in small groups for community. Most of those have been primarily online, but we are starting to transition into doing some in-person small group gatherings as well. And I'm interested in knowing from you, what kinds of groups would you like to gather in? We recently have had a group start up that is a group of moms who are raising kids that gather together to talk about, well, I don't know what they talk about, but I guess it has something to do with raising Unitarian Universalist kids in the world that we all have to raise our kids in, or our dogs if you're me, but that's a lot easier. So, if you have interest in starting a group, a small group of people to come together around a shared identity, an interest, a practice, let me know, because that is something that this is a program I'm hoping to grow in the year to come. A couple of words about the Settled Ministry Search, and I don't want to take away from what the search team will be saying. Learning about and participating in the search process for your next settled minister and learning about what kind of relationship is possible with the settled minister. That is part of what the search team will be helping with. But I want to point out a couple of quick statistics. It has been 15 years since Northwoods called its last settled minister in 2008. That's a long time. Raise your hand if you were here for that. A lot of you were. A lot of you were not. And it has been 7 years since Northwoods was served by a settled minister. Now, I know from my own data, because I keep data on these things, over half of the church has been members for 7 years or less, which means that much of the church has never, not just been part of a settlement call, but has never been served by a settled minister. Some of the differences between a transitional minister, which I am, and a settled minister are, a transitional minister, like I am, is a contract minister. I'm here for a specified period of time to do a particular job. Part of my contract has your developmental goals in it. Part of my job is to navigate change between one ministry and the next. And I am hired by the approval of the board. A settled minister, on the other hand, has an ongoing long-term relationship. You can build a deeper, more lasting connection. And I serve the congregation in long-term shared ministry. And lastly, a settled minister is hired by a call of the congregation as opposed to the board. So the big takeaway from all of this, Northwoods itself is moving out of liminal space in a liminal season. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be a lot of questions. But we have also built a lot of trust and respect. One of my colleagues jokingly asked in a ministers group on Facebook if she could simply write, "We survived, I need a nap," for the annual ministers report. It's tempting. All right. According to the Barna Group, which is a leading research organization focused on faith and culture, 42% of congregational pastors have seriously considered leaving parish ministry in the last couple of years. 42%. It's higher for healthcare workers, I looked. In case you were wondering, I am not among them. My love for this work and this ministry we share is strong, but that alone would not be enough to keep me going. It would not be enough. Go to the next slide. You have shown time and again that you are in it for the long haul, that nurturing this community and this sacred space and these sacred relationships are worth it to you. For those of you who have joined us in the last 3 years, finding your place in this community has had more hurdles than in the before times. And as I see you starting to grow deeper roots, I know that you are in it for the long haul too. I chose the theme of blessing for our outpouring service this year. And I wasn't sure why, but then I figured it out. This year was definitely the year no one knew what they were doing, but it was also a year of many blessings, that we have continued to show up for each other week after week, not just in worship, but in countless other loving ways. We have moved through so much unknown together. And as we move toward our 5th year of ministry together, I can't even believe it. We continue to move through the unknown. That's all we ever do, I suppose, is move through the unknown. But to have arrived at this place through the year when everything stopped, through the year we went nowhere, and now in this year of no idea what we're doing, with so much love and gratitude to come out of all of that, with so much commitment to this community everywhere I look. If this has not been a year of blessings, then I don't know what is. Thank you.
See which one I can reach from here. Can I reach from here? Yeah, this will work. This will be better. Okay, everybody stand up. Just stand up. Just stand up. You guys are all tired. You're exhausted. Stand up. Reach your arms out. Okay, cross body because you have to reconnect your brain. Cross your body, touch your ear. Cross your body, touch your ear. Reach up. Take a deep breath. Okay, sit down. Okay, there we go. I will always be a teacher. I cannot help it. Okay, so because I'm a teacher and because I've been in these meetings, I decided to add a little fun to my report. So each slide, except for the very last one, has a connection to a song. So your goal as you listen to me is to see if you can try to find the song in each slide. It might be the title, it might be a line from there, but just see what you can do. It kind of engages your brain while you look at stuff. So let's get started. So the title is, Looks Like We Made It. You should be there on that one. It was pretty blatant. Yeah, okay. So we planned for everything to be back to normal, like everybody said. It was not. We found our way to a new normal and came out stronger yet again. New classes, new formats, and a lot of flexibility kept our program strong and growing throughout the year. Northwoods RE doesn't let anything break our stride. There you go, okay. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the classes that we have. So Spirit Play is our our youngest set of actual formal class that we have. We also have Chalice Children, but that's for the 2s and 3s. That's more of a play-based kind of thing, but Spirit Play is where we start. It's our Montessori-based curriculum for children pre-K through 1st grade. We've been using this program for quite a few years. If you've had a child who went through Spirit Play, raise your hand. Okay. Some of you have. If you've taught Spirit Play, raise your hand. Yay, thank you, I appreciate it. This year, our teachers were myself and our granny squad. I did not label them, they labeled themselves. They were a group of people who stepped up when I needed assistance and came in, and they had just agreed. They went through a 2-hour training, and they agreed to teach 1 or 2 classes, and they did a beautiful job. And what I really loved is that the kids got a chance to connect with some people that they didn't know. It's a short-term commitment. It worked out great. Everybody followed the same flow. We had no interruption. It was phenomenal. Thank you to my granny squad. So we have 6 friends who are registered with an average of 2 to 4 each Sunday. We listen to stories from our 7 UU principles, our heritage, our different faith traditions, and our holy days. We sing songs, welcome new friends, and learn the words for the chalice lighting and extinguishing. If you're ever wondering what the words are, ask a Spirit Play kid, because they can tell you. We did all of this together while building our community and discovering what friends are for. There you go, okay. Our Explorers is our next class. They are the children in the 2nd to 5th grade, and they attend the class which was led by Beth Shively, Sam Wiesner, and Carrie Richards. Oh my God, phenomenal teachers. So the 10 children enrolled in this class averaged 4 to 6 students each week. They learned how to apply their UU faith and using Disney and Pixar shorts. I know sometimes you guys would rather be in there. Not that Sarah's not amazing, but so they got to watch Disney and Pixar shorts. They used Legos to learn about the sources. They learned about the earth from the Keepers of the Earth and Animals, earth-centered lessons, and they did a Principles and Promises curriculum which led them to build beads, create beads, and create a necklace that would remind them of each of the promises. This group had some amazing discussions, had the opportunity to create promises, reminder beads, made some new friends, and most definitely didn't talk about Bruno. Yeah, you have to have a kid to get that one. So, our youth. This is this amazing class that I love. They're either 0 kids, or 8 kids, or 4 kids, or 10 kids. And there are visitors that just wander in periodically that we see once, and some that come back every week and we still don't even know their names. But they're an amazing group. This class was led by Carl Mueller, Jeff Graber, and Ryan Hoffland. There's the class averages, like I said, 4 to 8 students on a Sunday. The class began as 2 separate classes, and in January we joined the junior high and high school, which was a beautiful connection. They explore different faith traditions as well as themes of healing, beloved community, imagination, and commitment. You'll notice some of those themes are familiar because we try to make connections between the service and our youth, and it's worked well. These themes help them explore ways they can challenge themselves, and in doing so, change the world. No, there's numerous change the world ones. Pick yours and sing it in your head. So this past summer, we did our program for the 2nd year in a row, Life Becomes Religious Whenever You Make It So. We had 11 volunteers. Thank you to each of you who came forward and taught anyone who was interested oil painting, embroidery, paper mache chalice making, ancient stone building, and using spray paint to create planets, just to name a few. We discovered what a wonderful world it truly is when we work and learn together across the generations. Thank you, there we go, okay. Hogwarts and UU, that's our summer program that we have done the last few years that we brought back after a while and we've had such a great success with. Last year in July, approximately 24 witches and wizards received letters that they had been accepted into the magical Hogwarts and UU summer camp at Northwoods. The Hogwarts committee, consisting of adults and youth, worked together to plan an amazing and safe experience so that we would be able to meet in person, which we did. They were the guinea pigs. They were the sacrificial lambs. They were the tributes, whatever you wanted to call them. Yes. Sorry. There's that better? Okay, now I have to turn. Okay. You guys can tell me if there's a problem. Oh, there's people at home, that's right. Hi, everybody at home. When the magical day came, old friends and new were greeted, sorted, scanned for temperatures, and welcomed. Our week was full of learning, meditation skills, growing crystals, exploring ourselves, playing Quidditch. If you've never done that before, it's a lot of fun, but you can get a lot of scraped knees. And working as teams, discovering that making a difference not only feels real good, but can also make things right. Michael Jackson, Man in... There we go, Man in the Mirror. I knew, it was a stretch. I was trying to challenge you at this point because I still needed you engaged. Halloween. In October, the Northwoods RE program organized a church-wide trunk-or-treat event. Committees from Northwoods decorated trunks and passed out treats. This is the second year we've done it, and each time it's a success, and I'm so excited and appreciate everything that everybody does. Although we didn't have many peanuts and Cracker Jacks, there we go. We were able to collect a large amount of non-perishable food items, and these were donated to the Montgomery County Food Bank, who were very appreciative of our donations. Our holiday pageant. So to celebrate the holiday season, we presented our non-rehearsal version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and if any of you guys missed that, you missed a treat. It was amazing. Families had the option to participate in person or through video submissions. With the help of many hands, this was once again the most wonderful time of the year. Good job. Okay. Winter holidays. In December, led by the RE program, once again, our community came together to make the holidays merry and bright for local seniors. We donated over 40 gift bags containing items such as toiletries, blankets, socks, and puzzle books to the Montgomery County Meals on Wheels program for seniors. Thank you once again, because you guys really did truly make a difference with all that. Yay, Northwoods. Easter. RE celebrated the spring season with an Easter extravaganza. We had an egg hunt, games, and made cards for moms. When we were called to help our friends in need, when we are called to help our friends in need, you can count on me like... There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, I knew you'd get there. We came together and collected over 60 gifts, which were donated to Adopt a Mom. This organization provides gifts for Mother's Day to moms in domestic abuse shelters in the Montgomery County area, and I cannot tell you how thankful they were when I showed up with those gifts. They were so excited when we were able to share those. I did not obviously get to meet the moms, but they have so many things that are going on there, and they said to have something that was so special was just amazing. Okay, he has now stolen the show. Beltane at the Park. This year, we were able to celebrate Beltane as part of the intergenerational service at North Shore Park. The RE program helped organize making flower crowns and seed bombs under the direction of Reverend Sarah. We definitely showed that we are family. Oh, thank God. I was hoping you'd get that one. Through singing, dancing, and drumming. And they continue on. So our summertime program highlights. There you go. Okay, so we have a lot of cool things going on for the summer, and while these things are going on during the service, if any of you guys would like to join in, you are absolutely welcome. The first one we have are Chalice Challenges, and those are May 29th, July 3rd, and July 31st. Imagine Minute to Win It for UUs. So it's just going to be a lot of fun games that will go on those days, and those are kind of our social days. We also have a Youth Sunday coming June 19th. We have a Fearless Readers group, which we're featuring 2 different books that we're going to be reading. If you haven't read any of these books, I realize they're young adult books or elementary books, but please read them. They're amazing. And if you'd like to come join our discussions, please do so. One of them is Refugee by Alan Gratz, and the other is Schooled by Gordon Corman. Both amazing books. Refugee features 3 families at different time periods in history who are all refugees and who are escaping from different situations, and the correlation in how they connect is amazing. Schooled is about a child who's in 6th grade and was raised by a hippie grandmother who suddenly falls out of a tree, and he now has to go to public school for the first time. So not only is he schooled, but he does a lot of schooling, obviously. The next thing we're doing is Keeping It Real movie groups. So we have the high school movie, Moxie. If you've never seen that, amazing movie. We're going to watch that on 2 different days. Like with the books, we'll do 2 different days. And then The Queen of Katwe, which is about a young girl who is in a very impoverished area and happens to wander in and learns to play chess. And by doing so, is able to lead her family out of poverty. So both amazing movies. We have a Hogwarts Sunday, August 7th. I expect to see all of you here to be sorted, to join in with the fun, to have some great activities. It's going to be amazing. And we have our Creation Sundays. That's what I decided to call them because I just thought that would be a great way to do it. We're going to do a make-do cardboard construction with Charlie, and you actually get like little screwdriver-y things and special cardboard screws, and you build stuff that's really cool. But if you want to do that, please let me know because I've got to order tomorrow. Painting with Jamie. She's going to be doing an art history class that's going to be phenomenal. If you've ever taken a class from her, you already know, so please join us. And then the deconstruction with Donnie. Okay, number 1, Donnie's involved, and it says deconstruction. You already know it's going to be fun. If you've ever wondered what's inside of any electronic, please come, because you will get to find out. We fill room 10 with electronics and small appliances and screwdrivers and hammers. How much more fun can you have? Don't leave your phone lying around on that Sunday unless you want to know what's inside of it. So thank you to everyone who helped make our program a success this year by volunteering, donating your time and talents to our summer program, and helping us make a difference in the lives of others in our community. Our RE program depends on each of you, and you always come through. Thank you so much.
I'm looking for like a special cue. Are you up? Holy. So my name is Takis Bogdanos. So my name is Takis Bogdanos. I chair the Ministerial Search Committee. And I'm glad that my committee is up here, so at the end or whenever you want. Literally. If you have any questions, please, you can get them at any time, okay? So, into the mic. So I'm Takis Bogdanos, Janetta Cooper, spelled correctly. But I think David is in front of the thing. But Susan Hammond, Evan Hain, Carla Moore, Susan Powers, and David Sons, and that's us. And I'm just going to read from the slides, and please interrupt me if you have any questions, okay? So and before I continue talking about no pressure, Reverend Sarah's slide on like, we didn't have a settled minister for like 15 years? Yeah. Okay then. So the goal of our search process is to follow an unbiased and fair process for the benefit of everyone in our congregation. So starting this June, you'll be, all of you, at Zoom and in here, a very important, integral part of this process by voicing your experience as a congregant and your needs and desires for the settled minister for our church. So we really need everyone to participate. And we're not just saying that. We really need everyone to participate. So please try to do your best to do that. Let me say that again. Please try to do your best to do that. Please try to do your best. Oh, okay. So the steps. The first step, actually we've been meeting for a while to reach this point for us to be in front of you, okay? So the first step is to confirm the inside candidate's interest, which we did last week, and that's Reverend Sarah. Thank you. Ask for your... we're going to ask you for your input through a congregational survey. Subsequently, we're going to have cottage meetings regarding what you're looking for from a settled minister to fulfill everyone's spiritual needs. So that's the part that we need your help. Okay, and your assistance. We really want you to voice what do you feel, what do you believe, How do you want your settled minister to serve us for the long haul? Again, Reverend Sarah said it wonderfully, that this is going to last for a while, like a long while, okay? So tabulate the results and then deeply consider your input. I try to use big words here, like tabulate and deeply consider, So if the inside candidate is successful, we will make the recommendation to the board to present a contract. There is a couple more steps in there, which you're more than welcome to ask about them, or my fellow committee members can voice them. And yeah, that would be great. And when all parties agree, the tenure of our minister will begin. Okay. The last slide, it's some research that I did, but again, thank you, Reverend Sarah. She pretty much expressed what the difference between developmental and settled minister. But the UUA.org has this wonderful article about what settled ministry is and when that term really was defined. It was back in the 1800s. It's a great story. In my head, it's a great story. But what I took out of that, it was the undertaking a long commitment in the order of marriage in order to attract a minister, offer a settlement as an incentive. So for that to be, I guess, the concept, and of course a settled minister to be with us forever, whatever forever is, okay? Thank you for listening to me for 3-4 minutes. Any questions? Brenda.
Question from Zoom about what exactly is a cottage meeting? What does that mean? Cottage meeting? Why are you using that word?
Cottage meeting. Yeah. So I can answer any of my, so I don't. Yes. What is the cottage meeting? It's a meeting that happens in a cottage. We'll go to a cottage and have a meeting. So a cottage meeting, actually, it's a small not too many people participation meetings, okay? And we're gonna hope to do that, hopefully we're gonna do that after the Congregational survey comes out, which it will be coming out, like not today, but hopefully within the next week or two. Please, do pay attention to it, okay? The settled minister, like I said, and like we said, no, I'm the only one speaking. No, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. I think the purpose of a cottage meeting is for those closer one-on-one person conversations is what a cottage meeting. A survey will get some information. A cottage meeting will get a little deeper, give people different ways to express what they want and look for a minister. That's kind of a purpose of a cottage meeting, to go deeper than just the survey, to give other people opportunities to speak and make questions and things like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, and just to add to that, it's not going to be like a psychotherapy meeting or anything, okay? This is actually, they're going to be defined questions, and it's not going to last forever, just to give that disclaimer so people don't think like, oh, great, I'm going to sit in there for like 2.5 hours, and at the end, I'll go home, or it would be nothing done. No, we really want to hear your opinion. Yes, Greg. That's correct. That's the part that I mentioned between tabulating the results and everything and actually giving what we heard or what we came up with to the board. It's exactly what you described. These are a couple more steps, which...
Repeat the question for Zoom to hear.
Yeah, the question was, what was it? Right, so if we, right, okay, so you got it, thanks. Anyone else?
If you say it to the mic, they'll hear it in the Zoom.
Yes. So if we decide that the interim minister, if Reverend Sarah is the one, if that directly is going to go to the board. And the answer is no, because it's really a congregation decision with us and bringing that to the floor.
I'll volunteer to bring some cottage cheese and cottage.
Don't forget the fruit.
There may be another question, Tucky's.
Yes.
The Zoom.
Do you have a plan for some cottage meetings to happen via Zoom?
And that is something we're discussing. And the question is if the cottage meetings will be only in person. And that's the answer is really no. We're going to have it Zoom and in person, or at the end, whatever works best in order to get everyone's opinion. Or both, right? Any other questions? Okay. And this is not the last you're going to hear from us. Hopefully, we're going to come back with perhaps like a 2 or 3 minute, intro in different parts of this process to give you updates, okay? And now that you've seen all of us, you're more than welcome to reach out to any of us if you have any questions. Thanks.
That's what I said, was like, or we will nag you incessantly. No, I think words are fine.
Reverend, I'm not on. Reverend Sarah, do you have closing words?
I have a closing announcement. We have extra rice, so if you'd like to take some rice home, I'll put it in a container for you. And don't forget you've lost some food, and you have a container in the kitchen. Don't forget to take it with you. One other question. Sherry Council was asking me who was going to be a delegate at the General Assembly. So if any of you have thought about that, please see Jerry today. Because governance is so important and exciting, right?
And I will add to that comment that Teresa made. Teresa was saying that Jerry Hensel is looking for people who are interested in being delegates at General Assembly. There will be some elections of board positions and stuff on the national scale that are certainly worth our consideration. And I will add that because GA is now a multi-platform experience, you don't have to go to GA to be a delegate, and you can actually register as a business-only registrant, and there is no registration fee attached to that. So if you would like to be a delegate and only participate in the business meetings and the voting, you can do that at no cost. So if you're interested in doing that, let Jerry know. If you're interested in attending GA online virtually, you can do that as well at a significantly reduced cost, obviously, because you don't have to go to Portland. Barbara. The dates for GA are June 23rd through 6th. It's the third weekend in June. Yeah, it's the 23rd through the 26th of June. We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude. With a servant's heart, with a leader's listening, with a parent's love, truer than all our inner trembling, let us model the health we seek for all as we lean into community. Somewhere out there, all we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds. Go in peace, go in love.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all so much for giving us your afternoon.